And there we go. Hi, this is Dev Pirates Radio, a podcast about tackling various development challenges to help us push our limits. We come up with challenges and then complete the challenges and talk about how we solve them. And our podcast comes out every other week. We encourage anyone who is interested in playing around in programming, game development, writing, and other challenges to join in on the fun. Each challenge should be accomplishable in about 1 to 6 hours. A new challenge will be presented at the end of every episode. A person can spend as much time on each challenge as they want. Many solutions will be discussed. We'll even talk about solutions to previous challenges. Just email us at contact@devpirates.com with the challenge name in the subject line. I'm Pete, and with me as always is Matt.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
And then describe the current challenge.
I way to just break the fourth wall.
It's
Yes.
kind of tough. I couldn't even tell you were reading from a script that was poorly written.
I know. I'm just
Typos everywhere.
I'm just that good at reading. Okay, so our current challenge is a very, very basic one. Let me just pull it up so that I have all the wording right. Okay. So our challenge this week was to take a default character for whatever type of game you're making, give him the ability to move around in all the ways your game requires. So like a 3D game is different than a 2D game, obviously. Add in one movement mechanic besides the basic movements, and then give him an object to interact with. All right, Matt, I came up with the challenge. You show me what you did first.
Well, I guess I could show you. Let me share my screen.
Well, I mean, we can talk about what research we did first, actually. That's probably a better idea.
All right. Well, I wrote notes. Let me bring my notes up.
Okay.
So, I guess we share my screen. So I started the project. I opened up the Unreal Engine. I guess I don't need to share my screen for this. I just started the C++ side scroller project, and then I started a new level. I put in at first I just used like the default 2D stuff that they had in there already, and I just flipped it on its side since mine was going to be like a top-downish type of thing.
Okay.
And then I did for the research. I did research at different steps. So I guess I researched how to do movements in Unreal Engine. And I researched how to do collision detection, because my guy had to interact with something by detecting the collision. And then that was mostly it. I had to research a few random things like how to do some stuff in the using the C++ stuff for the character.
Did you watch any specific tutorials or anything?
Yeah, I linked you the tutorial. I'll link it in the post notes afterwards. Okay. And it was I did the creating basic pickup class in C++ and the Unreal Engine tutorials. And so I watched that, and I used that kind of to do my one trap on my level.
Okay. That's the research you did, right? You're
Yeah,
done there.
Yeah, that was most of the research.
Okay. The research that I did was to watch pretty much all of the UE4 tutorials that they have in that giant playlist on YouTube.
I don't think you'll watch all of them in 2 weeks.
Well, I wasn't watching them with my full attention. They were just on, and I would be like, "Oh, that's an interesting tidbit."
Oh,
So this was while I was at work. I was working, and then I'd pay attention at random to these YouTube videos. But the ones that I really used for this, because I'm making a 2D side scroller, they did a live training of Paper 2D on what is that streaming site?
Twitch.
Yes, they did a live Twitch stream on how to do a 2D side-scrolling game.
Yeah, they do a lot of that live training stuff, and that's really useful.
Yeah, it was, because the guy, it wasn't everything all scripted out, so he did everything exactly right. He actually had to fix a couple of things on the fly, which I found extremely helpful.
Oh, one of the things I did notice that I really did not like was you'd think you'd be able to search something for like Unreal Engine 4 collision detection and come up with something that says, hey, this is how you do collision detection in Unreal Engine 4. And that was not the case.
Yeah.
I searched a lot of things. I did not find anyone saying this is how you do collision detection in Unreal 4. There's a lot of tutorials with collision detection inside of them, but all I wanted was what's the collision detection, how to do it. And it was actually really simple. And if someone were going to make a video about it, just covering just how to do collision detection, it would probably take like 3 minutes, like a 3-minute video.
Sounds like something you could do after all the research you did.
I don't know. Maybe we should put up some quick how-tos for just how to do basic things, so you don't have to go through long videos where you just want to do, I want to learn how to do collision detection. I want to learn how to do collision detection with explosions.
Yeah,
or I want to know how to do this or that.
That might be actually more helpful than the giant ones, because those are too specific.
Well, yeah, too specific, and they cover a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to know how to do one thing so I can incorporate it into my thing. And then if I wanted to learn how to do explosions, I'd go, how do I do explosions? That's my thing. I don't know how popular that would be.
I don't know. I think it's cool.
All right. So, was our next topic discussion?
Well, we would talk about our methods. So, this is interesting. We both went different ways with how we implemented our projects in Unreal.
Yeah, I went with C++ because I like C++, and you went with just the blueprints. Well, I also use blueprints when I use C++.
Right. So that is something you should note. If you plan on using C++ at all, you should launch your game with the C++. What do you call that? The setting enabled?
I don't know if it's setting enabled. It starts the project in C++, and you build in C++ to get the project running. With blueprints, it pretty much just has the project already ready to go, and it just lets you use pretty much what would be built in C++ if you're doing C++.
Right.
Except instead of having like C++ classes that you're able to plug into, all you have are just the blueprints.
Right. So if you want to use C++ at all, or you think that might even be a possibility, start your project with the C++ option. If you don't, you can use blueprints. That's what I'm doing, 100% blueprints. And I don't know, maybe in the future I'll get stuck and have to actually backtrack into C++.
I don't know how difficult it would be to backtrack into C++, but I do know that even if you start your project in C++, you could do only blueprints.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I think is a safer option, even because unless you're just doing something really quick, like just like a basic prototype, that's fine. But if you're planning at all to make the game into something a little bit bigger, probably just start in C++. And even if you only plan on doing blueprints, just do the blueprints and then just save the C++ for anything that you might need. It'll be a lot easier to convert than converting a current project over to C++, I think. But I'm not sure. I've never done that.
Okay. Tricks, hacks, and bad code, Matt?
My guy can still jump after he dies.
You need to disable input, I think is the blueprint.
I don't have a blueprint. I'm in C++, but yeah, I'll have to do the disable input.
Yeah. That was from one of the YouTube videos. My guy, his health will go all the way down, but he won't die.
Well, this is not a complete game.
No, this was just some basic stuff.
I will have to redo the whole
the whole what now?
Different than just the basic physics engine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we lost you. You'll have to redo the whole what now?
I have to redo the whole input stuff. The whole gameplay stuff. You know how all the inputs are handled, because I want it to be a little bit different than just the physics engine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stylized 2D 2.5D game, so I don't want normal physics. I don't even need them. But that's what I used for now, since that was easiest to get going.
Right.
But I will be modifying it in the future to be a little bit less using the physics engine. I'll still use physics engine for things like particles, though.
Mm-hmm. I think the only real hacky thing I did is I made my level is a box, and the object that I'm interacting with is a spike that reduces my health.
Well, the only object I did that he interacts with is a trap that just kills him.
Okay, so insta death.
Yeah, well, he's only gonna have one hit anyway. That's gonna be the type of game.
Okay.
Anything is because it's kind of like I said before, it's like a mix between Lemmings and Minesweeper.
Okay.
And so you only get one death.
Cool.
Or one hit, and then you're dead.
Why don't you share your screen and show us what your game looks like so far?
All right, so let us all throw big rocks at each other.
And I will try to narrate through so that people who listen to the podcast will hear it.
All right, so here is my little guy. Probably horrible frame rate coming through that.
That's pretty cool, though. I like how he's moving around on that plane. Did you use the 2D template?
I started with the 2D template, and then I highly modified it. Well, not highly, but I updated it to be a lot different.
Cool. So what we're looking at is a game with a slight. It's not a top-down, and it's not a 2D side scroller.
At a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, it's a 45-degree, and you've got a brown puppy with yellow ears.
Orange.
Oh, sorry. I'm very bad at colors. Oh, that's the trap. Okay, so there was a death animation where he turns into skull and bones and crumbles to the ground. So that's cool. You actually got a lot done. My guy does not animate properly for the directions and stuff that he moves into. You can still jump up and down.
Yeah, you can't do any other movement, but you can still jump up and down.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I did all my animations for my guy in Piskel. Piskel app.com. And that works really great. It has nice hotkeys and everything. If you're gonna do a pixel art character, I highly recommend it.
So did you create all of these sprites that you're using as the ground too? Like what did you do for that?
Well, I looked up grass pixel art, and then I drew it.
Okay.
I didn't draw it exactly. I was just using it as a, I guess, inspiration.
Okay.
And then I just started drawing it out into various tiles. This is just like the basic art to get the general idea of what I was going for. There's obviously going to be a lot more variation to the tiles than what's showing here.
Okay, let's take a look at your code or your blueprints.
All right, there's not too much in the way of blueprints. I have a blueprint for the trap called Electric Trap. But all that really is really just the interface to the C++ object, which I have here under trap and then electric trap, because we have various different kinds of traps. So trap is the parent, electric trap is the child of trap.
Right.
So inside of this code, it's really easy. I have a damage for the trap. It's 1. It's always going to be 1. Everything's going to be an insta-kill.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the trap gets triggered, it gets destroyed.
Okay. So the trap, once it's launched, it will no longer trap anything after that.
Right. But it doesn't really matter since you're going to be the only character. Well, I mean, eventually there's going to be more guys. They're going to follow you, and you're going to be able to like direct them a little bit. So I guess if you wanted to be a little bit morbid, you could sacrifice a few of them.
Sacrifices must be made.
And then this is the main trap class, probably bad resolution. And so I just have normal initialization stuff, base collision, and then the trap mesh, which I set up later to just be a box.
Okay.
And then all these other things are just filler. I want to call the parent of tick from the class because this inherits actor.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the .h, so it inherits from actor, which has a bunch of stuff already attached to it. So one of the things is tick, which happens every tick. It'll tell you how much the delta seconds is, how much time passed between the last tick and this tick.
Okay.
So you can do physics stuff and other updating stuff off of that.
So it stays constant no matter how much time has passed between actual ticks.
Right. Yeah, that's been pretty standard for all games since like the early mid 90s.
Right.
Ever since we got a more reliable system clock.
Right.
And the Urch is where it gets really big. Have to do all this filler stuff. These are for all the animations. Mm-hmm. And all that's mostly just filler stuff. And then have to set up some other stuff for the class, for the character. Set up health, just 1, because again, it's instant death. Mm-hmm. Then I set up a state, which tells me which state he's in, so I know which way to animate it. And so I base that off of the direction. Mm-hmm. So if the player is moving at all, I just need to determine which direction he's facing and then play that animation.
Okay.
And then if he's not, then I just know you know which direction he's going, and then I play that idle animation.
Okay.
So I have like 4 different directions of walking, 4 different directions of idle. I only did 1 direction of dying.
What, one direction?
Yeah, just 1 direction, but they broke up.
All right. Is that pretty much it?
Things I added in, I had to move up since he's moving on a plane horizontally, both left and right and back and forth. Mm-hmm. So I had to add in additional movements for that. I left jump in, but I need to highly modify it so he can't jump as high. And okay. I think that's pretty much it. On the movement, it sets which direction he's going based off of the movement. And that will change the animation that's playing. And then I also have the per tick. This is how I did the collision detection. So per tick, I have a collision object on it. So I'll call this collision check. And then it will just tell me, I grab how many actors are overlapping it. And then if the overlapping actor is a trap, then he's triggered it, and then he dies.
Okay.
Well, he doesn't die here. He loses 1 health, and his death gets handled actually in the tick. So that'll change his state to death.
Dead.
Well, first to dying, and then to dead.
Okay.
Because there's the animation. The animation will loop.
Right. And then you did the when animation is done, switch to dead.
Well, kind of. I know how long the animation is. So
Okay.
once the animations, there's probably a more elegant way to do that. I'll probably eventually do it that way, but for now, it's always just get it to work and then make it pretty.
Right.
Anyway, so on to you, sir. I will relinquish my screen.
All right. Screen 2.
Stop sharing. Not you, me.
Oversharing. Okay. This is my simple game. I do not have animations. I use just the standard stuff. He's always in idle because, well, I didn't do any character stuff because I'm not an artiste, as you are, sir. Okay, so he can move left and right. He can jump either by pressing the space bar or up. And my additional movement is a dash. So you probably can't see that because the frame rate is terrible on YouTube. But I can jump and dash, or I can just dash on the ground. Anyway, so that's my additional move. And then the object, you can barely see it here. It's this tiny little white triangle. When he runs into that, he loses health. He loses about 1/10 of his health per tick that he is touching.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to pick that up off the background.
Yeah. So just know it's there. Maybe I could zoom in.
I can see it.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't pick great colors. Also, I was pressed for time. Okay. So most of the blueprints that I did are going to be in here. This is everything that handles the movement. Let me stop this. This is just the standard stuff that you'll see in all of the side scrolling. I left it the same. I did make my own, but there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so jumping, again, the same. This right here, though, is the dash. So what it does is it just takes whatever the last movement input was, multiplies it by 5,000, and launches the character in that direction. Pretty
does it
simple.
do it though for as long as it's pushed down, or does it do one burst?
It is just one burst. And in the future, I would probably do something like give it a cooldown or something. But this up here handles the HUD. So that's where the health and everything was showing. You see the red bar on top.
Right. It's got the little health meter.
Yeah. So that I can show you. Oh, let me load up the HUD, states, spike. We'll load them all up right here so we can just give you a quick overview. Okay, so we'll go back to main character. The HUD gets generated on the main character controller, sets the health bar, which current health is an attribute of my main character. That's where we get all of that from. Oh, and if you want to see where I got a lot of this style of blueprint implementation for the HUD, it's in that 2D YouTube video that the Unreal devs did on Twitch. Okay. This is the widget HUD. So you can put a bunch of bars or whatever you need into this box, and it'll show up on the screen in that relative location. Right here is that health bar. Okay. States. So my guy will lose health all the way down to 0. And once I get this all implemented correctly, once it hits 0, it says right here, if health current is less than or equal to 0, set state to dead, and then you disable the input on the player controller, and that should shut it down so you can't move anymore.
Cool.
Okay, this is the spike. I tried doing on begin overlap, but I don't think that because it's a 3D object, there will actually be any overlap, so that didn't work. I can actually just clip that and it'll work just fine because I use the on component hit event to do all the same logic. And you just say, hey, when the player actor, which is right here, cast it to the main character, hits that object, take current health, subtract 0.1, and then set it. All pretty simple. But you would not believe the time it took to kind of understand how all that was working.
I think I understand.
No, you can't understand, Matt.
I spent a good deal of my time doing the graphics because I thought it was fun.
You are weird.
I did a bunch of sketches of the character before, and then picked one that I kind of liked. It takes a lot of work to do those animations.
I believe you. I tried drawing a character, and I got to the first sprite sheet, or the first image, and I was like, this sucks. I'm done.
That's why I think you should try doing the skinny appendaged type characters.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Kind of like the, what is that, Adventure Brothers?
I think it, yeah. I think it was also made popular by Sword and Sorcery.
Yes, that's actually the one I was thinking about.
And that one has, I really like the graphic style on that, but apparently a lot of other people did too. And so a lot of people will copy that kind of graphic style where the guys have like 1 pixel width type limbs and a few pixel width type torsos and heads. And it does have a really good looking aesthetic, especially if you choose the right colors.
Yeah.
But that's not the only way to do pixel art.
No. I'm going to do some research. We'll see what I can come up with. But now I think it's time for next show's challenge, Matt.
I guess I will read that off. And I will make the post. Let me go back to my... And there we go. Oh, all I have written for it is I'm going to present 2 files that are optimized. And then I'm going to ask you to take those and reintroduce the white space into them so that they're human readable with any specification of your choice, however you like to see them.
Okay.
For instance, for functions, I like to have the open brace on the next line after the function declaration, but I like to have the open brace on the same line as regular logic structures like if statements and loops.
Okay.
That is my specification, doesn't have to be everyone else's. But that's how I like to do it, because I like to be able to easily and quickly visually differentiate between a function and other logic structures.
Okay. To be fair, I think I'm probably going to do this in a couple of different languages. Just because I don't feel like it's incredibly hard.
I mean, a couple different languages.
Like I've been playing around in Ruby, and I think I'll do it in Ruby, but I'll also do it in Perl, because in Perl I could probably do it in a few minutes to like an hour maybe.
Don't do it in Ruby. Don't even use Ruby.
Don't even use Ruby? Why do you hate Ruby?
Well, it's fine for something that is relatively easy. You can do something easy that's really quick, but once you get into more complicated web things, it starts to get really annoying to use.
Okay.
That's why I don't like it, because I can develop things a lot faster using my libraries I've built up over the years in PHP.
Well, Ruby is actually something that we use pretty often at work, so I think I will use it anyway.
It's not good.
It may not be great, but I'm going to use it.
It was really popular for a while, and I don't understand why. There's always been hate for PHP, but I don't really care.
Yeah. To me, it's just another language. There's nothing really crazy about it.
Well, you can do anything, and you can do pretty much anything you can do in any other language in any other language.
Right.
So there's not really that big of a deal. It's just what you like using or not.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, if you want to do a few different ones, I don't know why.
Maybe just to see how different languages would implement them. I think that would be interesting.
They'll implement them the same way.
Maybe. According to Ruby conventions, you're not supposed to use for loops. You're supposed to use .each loops. So that might change things for certain things. I don't know.
That's just syntax.
Yeah, that's true.
If you need to do something in a loop, just use whatever loop is the most optimal for that language. It's not like it's not like there's a big difference between a for loop and a for each loop. You're going to loop through all the elements. That's what you got to do. That's not the important differentiation.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too much of an asshole.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time.
No, it wouldn't.
Just kidding.
I was going to say, if you're a programmer and the pixel art, like if you're not good at art, you generally don't really need to be all that great. You just have to pick something that represents what you want and then go with it. I don't know if you've played that Fez game.
I have.
But when he started, his pixeling art skills were not that good, and that's what he said so himself. I didn't actually see the first renditions of it, but I saw some later ones where he started to improve, and he spent a lot of time going back and redoing the graphics a lot, just because he got better at doing graphics.
So he learned as he went.
Right. And then there's another popular game called Braid. The graphics that he developed the game in looked like a NES game, a lot like Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked like original Donkey Kong.
And so he developed the game using those kind of graphics, and then what he did was he hired out to other people to do the actual graphics of it, and then he just plugged those into his game, bada boom, and he's good to go. It looks like a really great game. He did all the game mechanics and everything, and using like his own limited graphic style. So don't either get into the graphics or just use graphics that'll get you there.
Okay.
But there are graphical styles that even people that aren't that good at art can mimic that should get you some decent looking guys. Anyway, that's all I was going to say. Also, we should talk about our projects. Quickly. All right. Quickly. Gears of Fate. No one worked on that last week. Dev Pirates. We didn't really work on that last week, did we? Or anything for Dev Pirates?
Just besides this podcast, no.
I'll put us down because we worked on the projects. They didn't do anything for that. Did you work on No One Can Hear You?
I did not, but I did write 15 pages on my final project for college.
Nice. How much longer do you have on that?
I submitted my paper. We'll see if it gets approved. If it gets approved, I've just got one more paper to write.
Nice. For Endangered Kingdoms, I was working on the modeling for that for the main character. And then I'm really seriously considering rethinking the art style.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure yet, because I don't want to do it just to save me work. But it seems like a simpler art style than I was originally thinking might be better.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to rethink that, but I'm still going to be working on the model until then.
Well, I'd love to see a side-by-side of the old one and the new one of at least one character. Maybe I don't know if
I want to do a whole 3D model of the character if I'm just going to replace it.
Sure.
Because it's a lot of work to develop a character, and the reason why I would save it is to save time, pretty much.
Okay.
So I don't know if I would give you that.
Okay.
Because we can put it down to having worked on Dev Pirates this week, since we're doing the podcast now.
Yay!
We will be doing Northern Loading podcast tomorrow night. Lists is still on hold for now. I'll put you down for No One Can Hear You tentatively.
Mm-hmm.
Danger Kingdoms, I'm still going to be working on the model. For Ride, I'm still working on the first intro scene for the second zone. So 2-1, I'm still working on that intro scene.
Did you get the level already set up?
No. I decided I was going to do the intro and outro scenes and then design the level.
Okay.
I might even do all the intro outro scenes for all the levels first. That way I can just quickly play through them and check them all out. And then, because I didn't set up a thing to watch the intros and outros. Probably could, but I don't want to. I don't really feel like spending the time when I can easily do it this way.
Sure.
It's one of the decisions you make when you're working on a game by yourself.
Right.
Someone else were doing the animations for me, I probably would have quickly put in a little system so they could just push play on an animation and then they could see how it turned out. But since I'm working out myself, I can do that in code just as easy.
Right.
The way I'm doing it. Anyway, I think that's it. I think we're good to go.
All right. See you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Later.